let's return to the printing of our census data and let's have another look at our prospective print job. We've set this print job to print on 2 pages, but let's have a better look at page 2. If we were looking at the data on page 2, it may be a little bit difficult for us to determine what it relates to, because the row headings are here on page 1 and they're not duplicated on page 2. If they were duplicated on page 2, then page 2 is going to be a lot easier to read. And we can do that through the page setup dialog. The problem with getting to that dialog from this option here is that the option that we want to use is grayed out. So I'm just going to cancel out of that, and let's go back to our worksheet and to the page layout tab and the page setup dialog. Now when I click on sheet, these options are enabled so I can use them. And what I want to do is to repeat some columns at the left of every printed sheet of this worksheet, and I want to repeat column A. So I'm going to select on column A. Now because of the way this worksheet is set up, Excel is defaulting to selecting the entire workbook. So I'm just going to take out the X there and replace it with the A. So it should read $A, $A, but you can manually alter that if you have problems with it. What that's telling Excel is to repeat the entire contents of column A on every subsequent sheet of this document when it's printed. We don't need to use rows to repeat at top, but if your document prints on multiple sheets of paper because it's so long, then you would want to select this option and repeat some of the rows from the top of your worksheet on each printed version. And again, you just select over the rows that you want to repeat. This would repeat from row 1 to row 6, $1, $6. We don't need that, so I'm going to delete it. There's an option here too for row and column headings, and it sort of sounds like that might be the same thing, but it's not, so don't be misled by it. Row and column headings, if we select it, prints the A, B, C, D and the 1, 2, 3 of our worksheet grid on the printout, and we wouldn't want that in all but occasional circumstances. Now that I've set this up, I'll click OK, or I could click Print Preview to go straight back into the Print Preview area, and I'll do that. And here's our worksheet. This is page 1 with the row headings on it, printing exactly as we would expect it to. But let's have a look at page 2. This time, those column headings are being printed, so it's going to make page 2 a whole lot easier to understand. But I've seen another issue. Here, the areas in the worksheet have been blocked into grouped areas by information, and it's got vertical lines here dividing them. But see that part of the group that's on page 2 actually appears on page 1. It would be better for the readability of this printout if this column went onto page 2. And to do that, we're going to adjust the page breaks manually this time. Let's go back to our worksheet and let's go to the View tab. And I'm going to select Page Break View, because that gives me a look at where the page breaks are in my document, and I can change them here. They're live. I'm going to drag on this one and put it back over that vertical line, which moves that additional column onto page 2 instead of page 1. This is a really handy view when you want to just marginally tweak the page breaks in your document, because it does allow you to move them around, and the document will be scaled accordingly. So we've fixed that up now. Let's go back to our print preview and check it. Well, everything looks pretty good, but it seems like our text has shrunk down a little bit in the process. So let's go to Custom Scaling and choose the Custom Scaling options to see if we can't kick it up a little bit. I'm thinking that probably we could kick it up to about 50% of its normal size and see how that looks. I'll click OK. Well, it's pretty much filling the pages, so I'm going to call that good. And if I'm ready to print now, I can click Print to print the document.